Hello, this is First Fire Non-Assault Move. Welcome to the 36th video in the War in the East series. Let's get a situation report. Right off the bat, we are on turn 68, and our last video left off on turn 66. So this video is going to encompass the results of 2 turns, 2 weeks of action. And let's start here with Army Group North. So where once along this sector of Army Group North's front, we have since conducted a small offensive to break out and attempt to reach Talonin, and attempt to also isolate the Soviet divisions that will be to the west of this penetration, and also to displace the Soviets that have taken up defensive positions over the Emoji, that is the Emoji River. All the end state to be reestablish a front here up to the Gulf of Finland, and maybe get an encirclement if the option is there. The availability is there for us. What could derail this small offensive of ours around Talonin is mud. We have been blessed for the past 2 turns as we moved into late September into early October, having solid ground, clear weather, and the Germans have taken full advantage of that, as we'll see further south along the front in Army Group Center's area of operations and Army Group South as well. But right now, I like what's happening here, splitting the Soviet defense that has been established, which had established itself for over a month and a half. And to their defense, pun intended, we hadn't attempted much on our own. So what happened is we peeled away some divisions from these corps along this part of the front where it's been quiet, and which kind of put the which reduced the combat power around Pskov with these army corps. So it's been limited attacks here, but we augmented this force, and we were able to achieve this. And also, we received reinforcements, which we railed in and committed them to Army Group North, which was this mountain division here, 3rd Mountain, and also it was the 27th Panzer Division came in. So we assigned them both to the 56th Panzer Corps, and they made decent work. It wasn't easy. The Soviets had some fort levels that we had to break through, but so far it's looking good. We have a rupture here, 20 miles, and we are into Soviets' operational area where they didn't have any reserves to commit. However, still have to fight on both flanks, and we have to decide which way we will go if we have solid ground. More than likely, we want to take Talonin and cut off the Soviets here. Meanwhile, holding the line on our right flank of this penetration. Moving down to Pskov, again we have some local attacks just to keep the Soviets from not strengthening their front in front of us. For future op considerations, you look at this division here, this corps, which is Fort Level 2. Look how ridiculously strong it is at Fort Level 2 with one single infantry corps. Same can be said for this infantry corps behind a river. Fort Level 2, it's going to grow, so we don't want that to be the case across the breadth of this sector in and around Pskov. From Pskov all the way down to Veliky Luki, we try to do the same, not let the Soviets dig in and get overly strong so that we can keep the pressure on and get little ruptures along their front, fragment the continuity of their front, which we did here, and we failed to even dent the Soviets against this division and this division as well. 3 infantry corps, strong ones, very well supplied, tried to attack over the river into the swamp, and it was no go for them. And we'll talk about that for a second. For turn, let's see, 66, 67, 68. Turn 67, the theme was very stubborn, strong Soviet defense, which we'll outline along other parts of the front. But overall, Soviets defended very well and stymied some of our planned attacks, which was frustrating. but you know, we have to give them credit. As you can see, these infantry corps, given time, can dig in and be a real headache to kick out of their positions, which we found out during turn 67 and a little bit as well during this turn. What we're looking at now, obviously, is the completion of all the German moves and attacks. Moving down by Veliky Luki, again, we wanted to displace the Soviets, maybe to force the Soviets to relinquish Veliky Luki without having to attack it head on, but that plan was shattered when we were totally uh, checked. Our attack here was checked, and we made no progress. We'll continue to try and break through here in the next couple of weeks, but we're expecting mud, fully expecting mud this next turn. We have been blessed. All the bad karma we had at the beginning of 1942 and kind of at the end of 1941 is kind of been returned. Some good karma, some good luck with the past 3 turns. Can't complain whatsoever. And we took advantage of that. Moving down, no change from Veliky Luki to Smolensk, just establishing a defense. I don't see any reason. I don't care if the Soviets get strong here, because this is not ever going to be a focal point for offensive operations. It would always be to the north or south of this part of the front, so just defending. The only time we did conduct some offensive operations was really a counterattack when the Soviets brazenly uh, moved some troops in through a gap in our lines. We took advantage of that, and we ended up getting an encirclement here. Smaller one. All right, so during the course of turn 67 and 68, we had started to shift our attacking Panzer Corps 30th and the 57th, as well as the supporting infantry, to the south more and more along Army Group Center's frontage, which originated here around Vyazma. Then we came here to threaten the Bulva, and then we finally took advantage of what the Soviets had presented us over the last month or so with a very lightly defended defensive line, really from Smolensk all the way down, I would say, to Sumy and even Bryansk. And let's see how that developed over the past 2 weeks. Game time. We continued to shuffle forces down. If you remember, we had the 30th Panzer and the 57th Panzer up here, and as well as the very strong 12th Infantry Corps, which we have pulled out. We're starting to think of refitting and repositioning some of our divisions in preparation for mud season. So we've taken them out of the line and giving them a rest. These 3 infantry divisions, which have fought their tail off. So moving down further, so we did get a bridgehead over the Bulva further down here, where we really had superior combat power on the Soviets. We widened that, and that forced later down to the south as well of Bryansk, which forced the Soviets to relinquish Bryansk. Didn't have to attack at all. Widen our bridgehead here over Bryansk, and so what we did is we redirected the 30th Panzer and the 57th Panzer down into this bridgehead that we had, as well as the 14th Panzer Corps, which, if you remember, was all the way down here on the rails. It sat there for 2 weeks, I think, because I really didn't know where to commit them. So I figured rather than using up rail capacity to shift them to a place that I really wasn't sure about, I just left them in place to gather fuel and get a little rest and refit. So I ended up deciding to move them up here to supply Army Group Center with 3 Panzer Corps. That was one of the goals prior to the conclusion of 1942. And I also peeled away one of 14th Panzer Corps' divisions and attached it to 36 Panzer Corps down in Army Group South's area of operations. So anyways, once we had moved them up, I think it was this last turn, they had succeeded in their rail movement and they were fresh. So we committed them to the south where we had that bridgehead. Infantry did an incredible job paving the way. So in combination of 3 Panzer Corps now, we have a complete breakthrough in the Soviets' line, taking advantage again of their insouciance, of, their little blasé attitude, thinking we weren't going to do anything about their lightly defended line. Well, we did. It's late in the year as far as good offensive weather. We're now into October, but we did achieve a little encirclement. Look at that. So in combination of these 3 divisions and our attacking infantry, we have an encirclement. And if you think about it, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, an 80-mile gap in the front for the Soviets with nothing. This is after aerial recon. No operational reserves to speak of stopping us. I think this is another indicator of we're starting to take a toll on the Soviets with all these losses we are causing them with our encirclements. A multitude of encirclements for us, large and small, are adding up. So these divisions will be out of their order of battle. They have a massive gap in their lines now. They'll be saved by mud. We can't really further take advantage of this. If we get clear weather, solid ground next turn, then we're extremely fortunate because we can't ask for more than that. Because mud, we're definitely planning for and expecting mud at any moment. But we were able to achieve this, and if there's mud, 2 or 3 turns in a row, that's all right. We have established a line. It'll give the Soviets opportunity to build up, and we expect that. We fully expect the Soviets to recover under the uh, under the protection of mud to reestablish their lines and refit. But we're going to take full advantage of that. Our German forces have fought their tails off, so we'll welcome the mud as well in a way to rest and refit and reposition and think of future operations to the conclusion of 1942, where we will continue to attack in the snow in a limited fashion. But now we have this, and if we get solid ground, well, watch out, Soviets. So moving further south, no change here. We just came abreast of the Soviets, getting up against these rivers to plan to defend in place as mud season hits. Here, the Soviets, if you remember, the concentration has remained for over a month and a half, or maybe a month or so, in reaction to our attacks in this sector and getting that encirclement. So the Soviets really haven't been reduced greatly, so they still have some strong formations here. So Sumy, we'd like to take an attack maybe north or south of Sumy, maybe in the snowfall. And by the end of 1942, taking Sumy would be great. All right, let's talk about the major event here. Let's take a break. Let's take a moment of silence here and enjoy the wonderful achievement of taking Kharkov. I know it's late in the game, very late, and the accomplishment of taking Kharkov. However, we did during turn 67. Soviets were ridiculously stubborn and difficult. They had 3 corps here and 3 corps here. Took almost everything we had, attacking from pretty much complete. The Soviets were completely surrounded, so we attacked from every conceivable angle with a great quantitude of divisions. Soviets held out. Finally, we forced these 3 corps to surrender. And then only this turn, after I think our 3rd attack, was it the 3rd? Yeah, after our 3rd attack, I didn't think it was going to happen. We finally took Kharkov. Yay! Cheer went up. So because of the Herculean effort to take Kharkov, we didn't achieve very much with 3 Panzer Corps sitting in this developed salient now. Look at that. Look at that. So we just try to widen our gains and push the Soviets back from Kharkov. We're very, very strong here. There's absolutely no fear of them retaking Kharkov. It's just to consolidate the gains and again get prepared for mud season, come up abreast this river. as well as these rivers here. Reorganize, get our corps nice and dressed and pretty, and nice, their sector, each to their own sector, our infantry corps. And we did finally push back the Soviets here, and we have surrounded 3 more Soviet corps, all mechanized and tank, and this should net probably over 500 AFEs just with these 3 divisions, because each of these corps is up to 30,000 in manpower, 30,000 troops, in addition to hundreds of guns and tanks. So that will be 3 more strong mechanized corps and a tank corps out of commission, no longer plaguing the Germans. Moving further south, we come down here. Soviets are pretty strong. You remember they had attacked and pushed. Here's a residual effect of that. They had continued to push through gaps. We counterattack, and this was kind of a weaker part of our front as all of our axes of advance are up here. But we have a nice solid line now, ready for mud season, and we are making sure that this Soviet corps is not going to get relieved this time. All right, further south, Dnipropetrovsk has not been taken, and I've given up trying to wrench them out of this sector. They're just very strong, ridiculously, like you can't even fit the number here. It's probably over 100 defensive value with a fort level 3. That's ludicrous to attack them. So we'll just displace them and force them to retreat or surrender, have them surrounded at one point. We'll see how this plays out. Very difficult area to get to the Soviets with city, swamp, major river, very strong forces. So this is just a hold in place and let other events to the north and south determine the fate of Dnipropetrovsk. Moving further south, same can be said for the frontage here. Oh, interesting. Look at this. We had 3 strong infantry divisions at one point, and we had a bridgehead over the Dnieper, really splitting the front between these 2 major cities, which would be a great benefit to in the attempts to rout them out and force them to concede the cities without a fight. However, Soviets said, to heck with that. We are going to kick you back over the Dnieper, which they did. Here we see they had 161,000 troops attacking our 33, and they forced us over the river. Oh, it was only 2 German divisions and a Romanian cavalry. Still, that was impressive. They kicked the Germans out of that bridgehead. So any thought of exploiting that was out the window, so we shifted our focus further to the south. We'll move further south, establishing a defensive position here. A lot of attacks took place. A lot of attacks. If you remember, we did have Soviets surrounded here. Did we destroy them last turn or this turn? Oh yeah, this turn we did. So look in here. Soviets surrendered, 15,000 losses. Surrendered again. Oh, they held, and they ended up surrendering. How many did we take here? They defended. Yeah, they were, again, so stubborn Soviet defense. 30,000, 42 tanks. They all surrendered there. And also here. Soviet loss is very minimal. It was just a mountain division. Oh yeah, they retreated up here, and then we forced them to surrender. Continue to attack throughout here. The intent behind these attacks was to, number 1, seek another bridgehead over the Dnieper, and this audacious 11th Panzer actually had moved into this hex. Or did we even move into here? I think we moved into here. The Soviets had airfields, so we captured maybe 20 tons of fuel and scattered some Soviet airfields. And now we have a little risky bridgehead here. Soviets have forces here, but they'd have to pull out, come out of zone of control, pull out here, and come here. Maybe they'd get one deliberate, and at worst, they can't surround us. We would retreat back over the river. But if they leave it unchecked, uh, uncontested, then we'll have our bridgehead here. I was thinking to continue the attack down through here to get an encirclement. Well, there's certainly the threat of encirclement for the Soviets now. We have committed. All three of Army Group South's Panzer Corps are in action. The 3rd, the 37th, 36th, I'm sorry. 3rd, 36th. There we go. And what was the last one? 39th Panzer Corps. So 3 strong Panzer Corps working in conjunction with 11th Army's infantry, pushing down. Now there's a threat here. Strong Soviet forces still remaining in place. Will they be so foolish to attack Romanians? I know it's almost irresistible for the Soviets to not attack Romanians, but if they do, that's great. Then we'll certainly encircle them the next turn. There are no operational reserves. We did aerial recon to the east of the Dnieper. This is another breach in the Soviets' lines. So I imagine they'll retreat, come adjacent to these panzer divisions, and at that point it will probably be mud and there will be no further progress. But still, it has displaced the Soviets' frontage here, which is pretty strong. But the Romanians really haven't made any progress, and now it's going to force them to more than likely retreat over the Dnieper, or at the very least, we will kick out the Soviets that remain to the west of the Dnieper. So finally we'll come abreast of the Dnieper in this sector. That is my thought on that. So that's the summary of the past 2 turns. Biggest news, we took Kharkov. Finally, kind of threatening Belgorod. Soviets are pretty strong here. They got the river to their advantage, but there's a little land bridge here which we could attack into. The thought was maybe break out through Belgorod and loop up and encircle these Soviets, but we're too late in the year for that to happen. Any other German offensives are going to be very limited in scope. There are no further German reinforcements. We've chased off all the partisans. We did our railroad repairs, checked command and control, which there's a lot of moving parts during this operation and this operation, so we should all be in good command and control throughout. And I made sure of that. Taking a look at the front, very interesting how this is developed. Look at that breach in the Soviets line. It's not too distant from Moscow, so this is going to send up red flares and the ringing of the town center bell to get all hands to defend this, because the Soviets don't like anything like this happening in and around Moscow. So I expect this breach to be covered with any and all available Soviet forces in the next week or 2, which they'll very easily do if there's mud, because we're not going anywhere. Threats to the Germans, we have that one isolated 11th Panzer Division, and up here, not sure what the Soviets could pull off here, but we're pretty strong. They would have to mass up, and in order to do so, they have to give up some of their territory, which we'll take advantage of later. I think they're just going to pull back. So before we hit next turn, let's take a look at the losses screen. 26,000 German losses. Did a lot of attacks, 86 tanks. A lot of our panzer divisions were involved in those attacks, so we can understand the losses there. And Soviets, 256,000 Soviet losses. And out of that, 164,000 have surrendered. Over 1,000 Soviet tanks. We have broken the 30,000 threshold for the Soviets, and we are well into the 7 million losses for Soviet forces. Unfortunately, we're very close to 2 million losses of our own, which is steep, very steep cost for the Germans, but that is an indicator of the incredibly heavy action from start to finish of this war in the East that the Germans endured especially, during the 1941 Winter Offensive and the very intense attacks that took place in the early going of 1942, where it took massive effort to achieve any small gains, but slowly we broke down those barriers, caused more and more losses to Soviets, and it kind of snowballed in our favor, which we can look at destroyed units at this point, going down through the turns. 27 this turn, 6, 7, 9, 55. A little further down in 1942, 31, 9, 10, 11. So we'll get a tally, but that just shows you the amount of Soviet formations that were destroyed since 55, turn 55. That's just 65, that's just 13 turns, 13 weeks. Within 4 months, 13 weeks, 3 months, we destroyed this many Soviet formations. Many of them strong, many of them tank corps, infantry corps. Huge losses inflicted on the Soviets in 1942, which, at the start of 1942, I was like, oh, is this a lost year for the German? Lost meaning giving up hope of any grand offensive or achievements, but we kind of recovered, and I think it's been a good year for the Germans in 1942. So far, let's not jinx ourselves. Let's hit next turn. I say there's a 85% chance it's going to be mud. Oh, yeah, it looks like they're pulling out. Looks like maybe they're massing up. Oh, to attack there, but why? Oh, we're predicting them. Oh, they're attacking there. Okay. Yeah, that's the weaker spot. They could move into that vacated hex. Talons covering, which they did. It's alright. Trying to prove some point there, but I don't know what. They would now have 3 hex attack surface to attack these 2 German formations there. Will they do it? Maybe not. Yeah, they're starting to fill that gap. They did it again. They stuck out 3 corps in a gap. They crossed the Dnieper to do that too. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? Yeah, I was wondering if Soviets would come out of the woodwork. Not strong enough to totally pinch us off here. But, oh, okay. Yeah, they're pulling out of the emoji. That's good. That's good. We're going to gain some ground there. Shorten our lines a little bit. You know what? Oddly enough, it may look like that oddly shaped triangle frontage if mud hits, because neither side is going to do anything there. Yeah, just attacking because they can. It's going to be a little back and forth here and there. Local attacks. That standard operating procedure of the Soviets to get, up to 3 a 3 hex attack surface on Germans across the front where they can find it and where they can manage it. 4 strength. No go. What are they doing there? What are they doing? Attacked over the river and they got us to retreat. It's impressive. Yeah. I'm surprised they're getting so many favorable results, but when you look at it, there's 9 divisions to 1, so 9 corps to 1. Yay, we held. I don't think all those yeah, those Soviets they're on the same side as we were on that attacks. Wow. They did decide to attack the Romanians there. They just can't resist. Oh my god, they're pushing north. What are they doing? Yeah. I think they're sealing their fate. If we get clear ground. Wow, very surprising. It's just irresistible to them. I am astonished. See, we can't see everything that's rendered on that's on the map. It's not rendered everything right now, so if they left nothing to slow our panzers down there, one crossed over. Really, I mean, could we have a winter offensive of our own and reach the Crimea and cut off almost 2 Soviet fronts? Just look at how many Soviets are there. Okay, here they come. Alright. Not gonna be that easy, but still. No. We that's not the weather yet. The true weather shows up after we see the losses screen. This is just wishful thinking right now. Pretty good response from the Soviets. Let's tip our hat to them. They attacked in multiple places, had some good results. Did it achieve anything? Operationally, no. Strategically, no. There is a... Where is it? Is it above Bryansk or south of Bryansk? Where it looks like they... It was around Sumy, I think, where they had that buildup, and they continued to push forces through again. Yeah, they caused some significant losses. Over 20,000. 66 tanks. Some of our panzer divisions defended. Not too bad losses. It's pretty light for the Soviets. Yeah, they had a good turn attacking. This is remarkable. Is it in all Soviet zones? Oh my god. Oh my god. I am giggling inside because no chance for the Soviets here. Where did they? Here they go again. You know, I have no problem whatsoever giving ground here, because at this point, I am not risking my luck attacking north and getting strung out with our panzer divisions and our infantry, only to be stuck in mud. We are going to actually pull back from here, take care of this, surround some more Soviets. Yeah, let's do that. Another tank corps and another tank corps. They are really not treating their tank forces well. All those thousands of hours that went into 24-hour 24-hour operations in these factories to produce these tanks, and they are not taking very good care of them once they reach the front. Yeah, there we go. Gonna be destroyed. These Soviets will be destroyed. And local attacks here. We have some rested infantry of our own. Yes, yes, yes. So now we have an opportunity to not take Tallinn. Yeah, they're sitting in Tallinn. What do we want to do with this? This is unsatisfactory right now. And they didn't give up the emoji. And they have some pretty strong forces here. Gonna have to look at this and maybe abort, maybe not. I thought there'd be less Soviets than there are right now. But that's silly. A silly notion. It's always lots of Soviets everywhere. Alright, just scanning. We'll probably call the video here. As we scroll down, getting a look, just thinking what we may achieve with one more good weather turn. What are they doing? What is the purpose behind this? I don't know. We'll just have to pull back a little bit. These formations will be freed up. And do that anywhere else. Oh, they did that here. Yeah. You know what? Probably can't get more than these three. Down here. Ooh. Here's where opportunity staring us in the face. Oh, yeah. Soviets saw what's going on here, and they're starting to shuffle in operational reserves, starting to reestablish a front. But look at what they're dangling in front of us. We pushed this division back over the river. We pushed this division back. That gives us a corridor, freedom of maneuver. Push that back, and I think we might be able to surround these formations here. We're going to see what we can do to achieve that. No further ops here. Maybe I can get a couple of infantry divisions over and strengthen this bridgehead, secure it, but I think we will get kicked back. Kicked back over the Dnieper here, so might not even bother trying. This is more important. Destroying more Soviets. Kept attacking the Romanians. That's good. Something to remember, and we've kind of been taking advantage of the Soviets' irresistible need to attack Italians, Romanians, and Hungarians when they see them. Took advantage of that here. Cool. Very good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this update. There was 2 weeks of action to summarize and go over. And also we pulled out a strong Panzer Corps, the 37th. They have rested and refit, getting them out of line. They didn't really have any practical use to commit them in this area of operations, so they are rested and refit. And where might we rail them in regards to future operations? that is to be determined. I haven't decided yet. And I don't know if he had any more reinforcements, but we'll check all that out later, and we'll cover all that in the next video. Alright, we're going to end the video here. I'm delighted that I could show you that we finally captured Kharkov, and we're making some progress finally down here in Army Group South's area of operations. Got 3 healthy, functioning Panzer Corps, and more opportunity to destroy Soviets. And more than likely, we won't do much more than what we accomplished here. Army Group Center, not going to get ourselves out of position, what with mud season looming, but this is a nice achievement and force Soviets to, again, be off balance, reshuffle their forces, react to us, and us not reacting to them. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is First Fire, non-assault move out.